This is the one video each year that I am absolutely petrified of making, purely because I'll make myself look like an absolute idiot on the internet once again. But that's no surprise by now. So it is time for the EFL Championship 25-26 campaign predictions. We did the League One ones a few days ago. That got a lot of love. Thank you very much. It gets a lot of people talking. It gets tongues wagging. And with that, we'll breed some incredibly insane comments. But that's the gig. Let's try and remain calm. Let's try and remain rational in the comment section down below for this one. And let's just try and, see perspective, take a broader perspective. Some comments can be biased, have an emotional attachment to a certain club because you support them. Whatever it is, let's try and remain calm. I support Bristol City straight away. So 23 other clubs, I'm not as well informed as I am on Bristol City. Just put it out there. So I'm trying to predict 24 clubs, and I'm trying to put them in one order that ultimately is deemed fair and right. I can't do that. I've never done that, actually. The most I've got is probably about 3 or 4, like, ever, which is quite an achievement for myself. And last year, I think I got 2. I think I got the top 2 right. That's probably the easiest one out of the lot. So it's going to be incredibly difficult, and it's never right. It's practically impossible to get 24 teams in an order right. And I hope you understand that in the comment section down below. I'm sure some people won't. But here we go. Let's start with 24th. In at 24th, I've gone with Sheffield Wednesday. I mean, I don't think there's any major surprise, and a very popular prediction, actually. And quite unfortunately, one of the probably the most easier ones out of the lot. There's basically no playing squad. There's no Danny Roll. The club is a mess. The players that have left, you can add Max Lowe to this list as well. So Shea Charles, he's gone out of the end of his loan. Chidi Gasama, Anthony Masaba, Michael Smith, Josh Windass, Callum Patterson, Akin Fanboy, Paul Valentin. Some players there who played a lot of minutes for Sheffield Wednesday, and Barry Bannon's future is also uncertain as well. So some players who played a lot of minutes, a squad that overachieved massively last season and now has just been ripped apart, and I can't see any way they survive in the Championship. So sorry, Wednesday fans. I've got you 24th. In the 23rd, and another team who've had some serious problems this summer over, ownership problems, and had a chaotic summer, and that's Hull City, who, actually, no, Charlie, I mean, what is going on over there? They've been placed under a transfer embargo. He's got a habit of changing managers. He's done it again. Ruben Selles, who did the job that he was asked to do, he's been replaced. He's gone to Sheffield United, a Year 2 parachute team, and he's been replaced by Serhaj Jukurovic, who God knows what he's going to be like. He's never managed in England before, so don't know what he's going to do. They've brought in some okay players, actually. John Lundstrom and Akin Fanwo and Semi Ujai have all got Championship experience. Puerta was brought on a permanent. And then there's Joel Ndala, who's been brought in from Man City on loan. But I just think the chaos from the top is going to trickle on. This is a squad that barely survived last season, by the way. So yeah, I'm just going to have a little bit of a regression from Hull, and that little bit of regression is going to mean they are in the bottom 3. In the 22nd, a team who were pretty horrendous towards the back end of last season, and one of the reasons I've got them in the bottom 3, the momentum, the unconvincing signings, and just general, I'm not really getting good vibes from Preston North End. Hence, I've got them in the relegation zone and dropping a couple of places. Look, I think Heckingbottom's a stable manager at Championship level. They've had a bit of they've had a complete squad overhaul, made a high volume of signings. How many of the signings are actually, going to make an impact or an improvement? I don't know. Terry Small, Dan Iverson, and Adel Goffey are good signings. Apart from that, I'm really not getting it. I'm really not convinced. They're lacking goals. They've signed Jebson, who's struggled at Championship level with Watford recently. They've lost Maurice. I'm just not getting the right vibes from Preston. And I think, well, as you can work out now, all 3 promoted teams coming up from League One, I've got surviving. So I think it's going to be really difficult for Preston. In at 21st, and another team I've got regressing slightly from last season, that's Oxford United. I think Gary Rowett is a fantastic manager for this level. He's going to make Oxford hard to beat. He did so last season. They were incredibly inconsistent last season, but they managed to do enough. The signings have been few, not really a lot going in. Luke Harris. They signed a Dutch midfielder, haven't they? For quite a bit of money. They've kept a lot of their better players. Suki Dembele, Tyler Goodrum, Cameron Brannigan. I think I need to see a little bit more from Oxford in the transfer market if I am to have them any higher than this, and to properly establish them as a Championship club. In 20th place, and my first newly promoted League One side, and it is Charlton Athletic, the lowest ranked team to come into the Championship this season because they came up by the League One playoffs. But I think they've more than made up for it, in my opinion. with the signings they've made. I think they've really gone for it. They've shown a lot of ambitions. They've spent a lot of money, but they've addressed some good areas. They've added goals to the team. Rob Apter, Charlie Kellman, Oz Glaffey, some standout attacking players in League One last season. You know Nathan Jones is going to make them hard to beat, but they've added to the defence. Amari Bell, Reece Burke, Thomas Kaminski, Joe Rocking Costello. He's a versatile player. He can play midfield as well. They've got some really nice options now, and Nathan Jones is a very good manager. I think Charlton will be fine. 19th place, and again, this might be a bit of a bold shout. I've gone with Blackburn Rovers. I think when I was doing this sort of middle order, does 19 count as middle order? There's a lot of good teams here. I've actually got probably a little bit lower than what I would have expected them to be, and I think Blackburn are sort of victims of that. They haven't had a great window. They've lost experience. They've lost quality. Not really recouped any money. Tyrese Dolan, Vyman, Bath, Joe Rankin Costello. They've lost players, and they haven't really replaced them yet. They've only made a few signings, and I only know about Sean McLaughlin, and that's it. So, yeah, how are they going to adapt to English football? Is there enough in the squad? I just don't think so. I think there's going to be a staggering drop-off in places, but this is a really hard sort of section of the table to call. Another victim of that is probably Watford. Again, there's question marks over Paolo Pezzolano. Watford normally do okay in the transfer market. I like Hector Cipriano. I think he's a good signing. There's some exciting players in there. They've bought a lad from a winger from Bayern Munich, haven't they? It's a decent team, but I think they're just victims of this confusing middle order. I think I quite like the squad. Loser, Quadro Bar, George Chapmadazza, he's still there. There are some decent players in that Watford team, but I think just this weird middle order, I think is probably the reason why I've got them so low down. So sorry, Watford fans. In 17th, I've gone with Stoke City, and all I've written in my notes is, where do you want me to predict Stoke? Because I've been burnt before, and I'm not going to go for it again. I'm just going to put them in a place where they're finished for pretty much all the time they've been in the Championship. I think Robin's a good manager. I think they've made some nice additions, but it doesn't really matter with Stoke, because they could sign Lionel Messi and I'd still have them. They'd still probably finish 17th. I'm just going to put them there because that's their spiritual home, and I'm not going to gamble too much. 16th place, I've gone with Pompey. They survived in the Championship last season impressively under John Messina, who I think is a fantastic manager. They've added in neat areas. They've not added loads, but they've added nicely. Segjic, LaRue, John Swift. They've brought a nice sort of different scale of qualities to the club, and I quite like them. They have lost a couple of key loan players in Rob Atkinson, who's come back to Bristol City, and Freddie Potts, but I think I trust Mousinho and Pompey at this point, with the years of success they've had, to replace them adequately and improve again in the Championship and really stabilise as a Championship club. And I think that will be the objective this season. 15th place is QPR, and I've put Julian Stefan ? Not because there's any, I'd like to particularly doubt him or anything. I just don't know what he's going to bring. How's he going to adapt to English football? There's a lot of hype about him. He's got a good CV from his time over in France. How's that going to translate to England and the Championship? We'll wait to see. They've certainly made some exciting signings. Kwame Poku, Burrell from Burton, who scored quite a few goals for them in the relegation battle. Amadou Salif and Bengay. So some good League One players. How are they going to stake the jump up to the Championship? There's some nice players in QPR. I'm just going to stay reserved, so I'm going to have them no movement from last season then. So, yeah, Julian Stefan, I think he might take some time to adapt, and that's why I've got them staying in 15th. In 14th, and a team I've got improving quite a lot, is Derby County, and a lot, I think, rides on John Eustace. I think he's a fantastic manager, one of the best in the division. And yeah, they've added nicely. Andros Vyman, Danny Bath, players that he knows. Owen Beck as well. Patrick Agyemang's probably the most exciting one. A lot of money in from MLS. There's some good things going on at Derby. They'll be tough to beat. They'll be hard to play against. And John Eustace is just a very good manager. And he's got track record in the Championship of improving teams. He did it at Blackburn, did it at Birmingham. I think he's going to do the same with Derby, and they're going to settle in the middle of the table, closer to where they probably should be in the Championship. In 13th place, and I would say probably the most confusing out of the whole 24, is Middlesbrough. So I've just put them right in the middle. A regression of 3 places, wouldn't it be? How will that squad adapt to Rob Edwards? How is Rob Edwards going to adapt to that squad? There's slight question marks over Rob Edwards as well. What can he recover from his time at Luton? I think he's a good manager, but how's that going to fit in with Middlesbrough? I don't know. They've not really signed a lot of players either. Kante's come in. No, not N'Golo Kante. I don't like Kante from France. They signed Alfie Jones as well. They need to do more, I think, Middlesbrough. Hayden Hackney is a question mark over his future. Looks like he'd probably leave. That money's probably going to be reinvested later in the window. So is that going to take a little bit of time to sort of fully get going? I don't know. I think Middlesbrough, they've got a good squad there. They need to sign more. They need to do a little bit more. And I think they'll probably land up in the middle. So hence why I've got them in 13th and in the bottom half. Moving into top half and in 12th place, I've gone with Swansea City. They ended the season fantastically under Alan Sheehan, who was caretaker. He's been given the permanent job. That transition can be tricky. I've seen it with my own eyes in Dean Holden. They've made some good signings and high-profile signings for where they finished last season. No disrespect, Ethan Galbraith and Cameron Burgess. Question marks over Alan Sheehan. So I've probably got them just middling a little bit, and they might have a topsy-turvy season. They'll be competitive, but I think it'll just be sort of in around the middle. In at 11th place, I've gone with Bristol City, the team I support. I'm predicting a drop-off of 5 places from last season's lofty 6th place finish. First time we managed to get into the playoffs in 17 years in the Championship. I think it's going to take us a little bit of time to adapt to Gerhard Struberball. I think that's going to take a little bit, maybe might result in a slightly slower start and then pick up towards the end of the season. I think we land nicely in the middle. I have some concerns in certain areas, forward areas. I've mentioned this on the channel. Wing backs, that might see some movement as well. Jason Knight is still here. Some concerns, but I think we'll be fine overall. And look, 68 points last season we got into the playoffs with. That probably won't be enough this time around. If we get 68 points again, we'll probably be mighty close, probably a little bit higher than this. But I think bigger context, I don't think 11th will be the worst position in the world for City to end up in. Into the top 10. In 10th place, I've gone with West Bromwich Albion, who I'd say are probably one of the biggest unknowns in this whole division, who have got a manager in Ryan Mason, who's also one of the biggest unknowns in this whole division. This could easily be a lot higher. There's a lot of potential there. They've made some decent signings. Nat Phillips, Hegbo. I'm getting vibe. The squad is pretty good for this level. I'm just being a little bit reserved on West Brom for the moment, and this could easily, with the potential that there is over there, be a lot higher than this. In 9th place, I've gone with my second newly promoted League One side, Wrexham. Finished second in League One last season, back to back to back. Unprecedented in the EFL, but they've done it, and they've done it fantastically well. And they've come for it again. Really, really have. They've made some good signings already, and it looks like they might make a triple one that could just blow things out the water. They've signed Josh Windass, Lewis O'Brien, George Thomason, Brian Hardy, Danny Ward. It looks like they're going to sign Nathan Broadhead for £7.5 million, which is just mental to me. Kiefer Moore looks like he's going to sign as well for £2 million. Connor Cody for a similar fee. These are some high-profile Championship players. Wrexham are not here to stabilise. We know what Robin McElhenney thinks about that in the documentary. I think they'll be really mighty competitive, but is it going to be enough for a playoff place? I think a lot of people might have them in the playoffs. I've got them just outside it. In at 8th place, I've gone with Millwall, who are pretty exciting, aren't they? They're pretty promising. And in Alex Neil, they've got a really good manager. They've got someone who knows the division. They've made some good signings. Alfie Dougherty, Massimo Luongo, Josh Coburn. Yeah, they spent a lot of money on him, but Ivanovic and Coburn up front, it's a real threat, isn't it? So, look, I really like what they're building over there. I think they had a really positive impact, Alex Neil, towards the back end of last season. And yeah, I think it's a good thing going on in Millwall. Getting good vibes from the Den. In at 7th, I've gone with Coventry. Now, this might be an unpopular shout. I'm going to admit. I like the additions. I don't see anything wrong with it, to be honest. I don't see anything wrong with what Coventry are doing. Carl Rushford's a good player. So is Kenneth Hayden at Championship level. I just think the managers with 7th and 6th is why I've put them this way around. Look, the squad is good at Coventry. It's continuous. It's got some good players. I need to name many of them. Rodoni, Grimes, Wright. Good players, Coventry. It's just the managers. And that's the thing that's holding me back on Coventry and not put them into the top 6. The calibre of manager in the top 6 or just general squad quality, I think is probably better than what Coventry have at the moment. And that's might be probably very harsh on Frank Lampard. But that's just where I stand. And the team I've got in 6th, I've gone with Norwich City. Now, the setups at Coventry and at Norwich I thought very similar. The squads and all of that, very similar. Obviously, Norwich have had a far busier transfer window. That might account for something. But I think it's just purely come down to the managers, to be honest. I rate Liam Manning a lot higher than I do Frank Lampard. That's not a dig at Lampard. I think he's a decent manager at Championship level. I think Manning is just a couple of steps above, and that's what's put me in this position. Diallo, Kvistgaard, Harry Darling, Jacob Wright, some good signings in there for Norwich. Yeah, they've lost Sainz, they might lose Sargent, but Norwich, they're not afraid to lose their best players. They'll replace them adequately rather. Brilliant at trading. They always have been at Championship level. They're a powerhouse. They've recruited aggressively. I think they'll get into the top 6. In at 5th place, and a year 1 parachute team, freshly relegated from the Premier League. I've gone with Leicester City. I've got them in there despite what we think will be a points deduction coming their way. Cifuentes is a good manager. I think even if they do lose some of their, quality players in Kel Canus or Hermansen, they should have a squad that should be right near the top of this division. And would you rather have a points deduction of, I don't know, say 9 points and, retain a lot of the star quality, or be under a transfer embargo or a business plan? I think you'd rather the former, wouldn't you? So, yeah, I think even with that points deduction, I think Leicester should be in the top 6. Top 2 might be a stretch too far. I think top 6 is not that, ridiculous. In at 4th, I've gone with Sheffield United, the only Year 2 parachute team remaining from last season. That brings with it some complications. They've lost some key players and some big loan players. Bremer Diaz, Jezrek Saki, Harry Suter, Hamza Chowdhury, Harry Clark, Rob Holding. They've lost some big loan players. And they've lost Vinny Souza. They might lose one of or both Anan Hamadodzic and Gus Harmer. I think Sellers might take some time to settle in. There's a good squad there. There's a top-end championship squad. I think just might take some time to settle, and that's why I've got them not in the top 2. In at 3rd place, I've gone with Birmingham City. Now, this could be anything. I think most people have Birmingham right near the top of the division. The momentum from last season, 111 points they racked up, just craziness. And the additions they've made to an already pretty decent championship squad is also craziness. Kyogo Furuhashi, Damari Gray, Aaron Cash, and Tommy Doyle, Phil Newman, Bright Sam with just a few. Exciting additions, brilliant additions, quality additions, and I think they're going to be brilliant, really at the top of the division. This might be a little bit too high. I've gone on the hype train a little bit, but I think Chris Davies has a really high ceiling. The style of football they played in League One, I think is going to translate really well to the Championship, hence why I've got them in 3rd and just missing out on automatic promotion. Moving into the top 2 then, and probably a very popular pick, I've gone Southampton in 2nd. They've got an incredibly powerful squad, and if Will Still is competent, they should be in the top 4 really, and I think Will Still's pretty good. He's got a pretty good reputation from his time in France, in Belgium. I think they'll be in the top 2. Yeah, they've lost players such as Carl Walker-Peters, Jan Bednarek, Modil Sulemana. They look like they're going to lose Aaron Ramsdale as well. But even with that, the squad they've built up over the years in the Premier League, I think they'll be incredibly strong, and I think they'll be right near the top and in the top 2 of the Championship. So, who have I got to win the league? This is a pretty straightforward one, to be honest. I've got Ipswich to win the league. I had Kieran McKenna top of my managerial rankings, and I've got Ipswich top of my Championship table. Look, they've just assembled an unbelievable squad when they were up in the Premier League. They look like they're going to be adding Hayden Hackney to that as well, to that midfield. Yeah, that midfield needs a little bit of, refurbishment. They've added Matasiwa, they've added Hayden Hackney, it looks like. They've lost Morsey and Luongo, but they've got an unbelievable attacking roster, if you will. Smodix, Clark, Philogene, George Hurstock, Benny, Connor Chaplin, Wes Burns. It is just ridiculous, and they should blitz this division, if I'm being honest, because the manager they've got is too good for the Championship. So that is it. Those are my Championship predictions for the 25-26 campaign. Thank you for bearing with everything that's here. And thank you for watching the video. Like, subscribe, all of that good stuff. And more importantly, get yours in the comment section down below. Get your predictions down in the comment section below. If you're brave enough to do the 1 to 24, that would be tip top. But if not, get a bottom 3, get a top 6, get both. All that good stuff. Just don't comment about one team. It's a bit of a boring argument. And, our team A should be, 5 places higher or 5 places lower. It's just a bit, not very nuanced, not very, it's quite biased, and just it doesn't really reflect the whole division. And when you're talking about a team moving one place, well, another team has to move another place as well. So, yeah, it's just a bit of a boring conversation if you're talking about one team. But yeah, thank you very much anyway for watching. Get your predictions down in the comment section down below, and keep safe. And I'll catch you all later. Cheers.